Bill Nye, the science guy. He has been getting us pumped about the final frontier and all its mysteries.
For weeks, the scientific community buzzed with speculation and mounting intrigue. Then, without fanfare, a new image from the James Webb Space Telescope rippled across digital space. An image so profound, so deeply mysterious, that it didn't just raise eyebrows, it gripped minds. When Bill Nye finally broke his silence, the world listened. The photo in question, taken in the deepest quadrant of a seemingly mundane region of space, stunned even the most seasoned astronomers. Not because it was explosive in color or scale like Webb's earlier masterpieces, but because it hinted at something unnervingly unexplainable. The quiet nature of Nye's reaction only added to the suspense. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The image didn't scream for attention at first. It wasn't vibrant like the Carina Nebula or iconic like the Pillars of Creation, but it held something different. Something ancient, dark, and untouched. It was a portion of the cosmos previously cloaked in interstellar dust that the Webb telescope, with its infrared eyes, finally pierced. What it revealed wasn't a massive star being born or a supernova's long-dead signature, but something altogether more perplexing. It was a formation. Vast, symmetrical, and seemingly artificial in pattern that defied what randomness in the universe should look like. Astronomers initially kept the details vague, avoiding sensationalism. They referred to it only as a non-stellar anomaly. But even in professional circles, the murmurs were loud. Patterns in space don't typically align in geometric precision. The structure, appearing like an enormous lattice or grid, spanned light years. It cast no visible light, reflected minimal radiation, and yet was defined with eerie clarity in the mid-infrared spectrum. It looked impossibly old, undisturbed, and yet recently exposed, as if someone or something intended for it to be seen only now. Bill Nye, who had long stayed silent on the fringe discoveries made possible by Webb, finally addressed this image, not on a news outlet, but during an unscheduled appearance at a planetary science symposium. The atmosphere in the room shifted palpably. Nye's tone was not the energetic curiosity fans knew from his television days. It was more restrained, measured, grounded in awe and even apprehension. He didn't call it alien or artificial outright, but his focus on its implications, how our understanding of natural cosmic evolution might need rethinking, left no doubt that he believed this was not just another space oddity. What makes this image so potent isn't only the structure's shape or isolation, it's the way it challenges fundamental assumptions. The universe, as understood by astrophysics, builds and destroys in chaotic patterns. Clouds collapse, stars explode, galaxies merge, and black holes distort time and space. Nothing about the universe's behavior hints at precise architecture. Yet here was a pattern echoing intentionality, parallel lines, nodes connected by near-perfect spacing, and a density gradient that suggested design, not accident. In terms of raw science, the Webb telescope had picked up emissions at highly specific wavelengths, almost like signals, though they matched no known astrophysical phenomena. Some researchers hypothesized exotic matter or an unknown interaction between dark matter and baryonic structures, but these were placeholders. Educated guesses until proven otherwise. The most jarring realization came from an analysis of redshift data. This structure was not nearby in a galactic sense. It was ancient. It dated back billions of years, older than many of the galaxies that now populate the observable universe. That's what unnerved people like Nye. The notion that such a construct, if it is a construct, predates much of the known cosmic timeline. If it formed naturally, it would be the first known example of the universe spontaneously creating a symmetrical megastructure. If it didn't form naturally, then its origin implies intelligence, an intelligence predating stars like our sun. This shakes the Copernican principle to its core. We have long assumed that life, especially intelligent life, is recent and fragile, likely confined to planets within narrow habitable zones. But this image hints that if life, or something capable of engineering, existed billions of years ago, it may have seeded or shaped parts of the universe long before Earth even cooled. Nye discussed the philosophical weight of that possibility more than the technical aspects. His background in mechanical engineering and planetary science gave him enough grounding to respect the limits of what can be measured, but he was always drawn to the why. In this case, the why terrified as much as it intrigued. Why would a structure this vast and deliberate exist in the vacuum of deep space? Why now? And why is it just being seen? Some observers speculated about cloaking technologies, suggesting the object was only now becoming visible due to changes in the fabric of space itself. Others imagined that Webb wasn't merely revealing it, it was triggering something dormant. These were fringe theories, but they gained traction because, frankly, there were no better ones. Scientists began to pore over older infrared archives, wondering if similar objects had been overlooked due to weaker resolution or dismissed as noise. Despite the image's ambiguity, it rekindled a long-dormant debate about the so-called Great Filter. The idea that advanced civilizations either destroy themselves or become unrecognizably different before they can communicate. But what if the filter isn't destruction? What if it's transformation into something so alien that the signs become indistinguishable from the cosmos itself? The Webb image poured fuel on that fire. Because if this structure was made, then whoever made it had reached a level of cosmic engineering that dwarfs our comprehension. At the same time, the implications reached beyond science fiction or philosophical musing. Earth-based observatories and even planetary defense agencies started to take note, not because the structure posed a threat, but because the knowledge of it altered strategic thinking. If intelligent forces shaped part of the universe billions of years ago, the assumption that we're exploring a neutral, passive cosmos could no longer hold. Some argued that the mere presence of the structure implied intent. Even if abandoned, even if long dead, it carried a message, one we were just now receiving. Bill Nye's reflection was deeply human. He spoke not just as a scientist, but as someone who had spent his life trying to explain the cosmos to the next generation. To him, this image was the ultimate moment of pause, a reset in the trajectory of how we teach and learn about our place in the universe. He didn't claim answers, he offered questions layered with awe. Why would such a formation exist at all? Could this be a remnant, a skeleton of something greater, or is it still active in ways we can't yet detect? He urged for caution but also curiosity. One part of him, the educator, saw it as a chance to energize science with a new kind of urgency, not one of fear but of wonder. The other part, the rationalist, reminded everyone that without jumping to conclusions, the scientific method must now adapt to a realm it has barely begun to explore. This was more than finding water on Mars or mapping an exoplanet. This was a fundamental shift in our perception of cosmic order. Researchers began to model the structure. Some called it the array, others jokingly referred to it as the lattice of God. But beneath the names was real effort. Physicists tried simulating what kind of forces could hold such a thing together. Could it be magnetic? Composed of exotic particles bound in a zero-temperature vacuum? None of the simulations produced stable results. No known process accounted for both the geometry and the scale. Worse, as deeper data came in, it appeared that the structure was not just a single object, but part of a repeating field, a possible network extending beyond Webb's current imaging window. The potential implications exploded. If this was a single fragment of a larger whole, then the universe might be laced with artifacts. What looked like randomness from afar could, with sufficient resolution, be shown as a patterned substrate, an intentional backbone beneath the chaos of galaxies and dust. Theoretical physicists entertained the unthinkable. What if the universe itself had been engineered at some level? What if it wasn't just about life in the stars, but about the structure of space-time itself? Still, others cautioned against premature conclusions. Correlation was not causation. The patterns might still be illusions formed by line-of-sight distortions or gravitational lensing. But skepticism was being tested in new ways. Webb's resolution was not only beyond Hubble's, it rendered certainty sharper and confusion deeper. The image didn't offer answers. It provoked more questions than the tools available could resolve. And perhaps that's why Nye's voice was so critical. He didn't add to the sensationalism. He grounded it in scientific humility. He reminded everyone that in moments like these, science grows, not through proclamations, but through enduring uncertainty. The image was terrifying not because of any threat it posed, but because of what it said about the limits of our understanding. It whispered that the universe may be more than indifferent. It may be complex in ways that suggest history, structure, and perhaps intent. Not in the mythological sense, but in the raw empirical language of systems too vast and ancient to yet comprehend. In the days following Nye's statement, observatories coordinated new surveys targeting adjacent regions. They weren't looking for identical formations, they were looking for context. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Webb's image? What do you expect will happen? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.